Welcome back to the GreenMadness Daily Betting Edge. Today, we have unlocked the laboratory, analyzed every weather overlay, and parsed the pitching strike zones
to reveal high-yield mathematical edges across today's MLB slate. No guessing, no gut feelings, just cold, hard analytics. Let's dive straight into the board.
Here's today's mission plan. First, the War Board. Second, Launch Lab. Third, Edge Snipes. And finally, the winning blueprint.
Section 1. The War Board, Pitching Vulnerabilities, and the Early Slate. Looking at the early window, we're heading straight to the Milwaukee-Pittsburgh game where we've got immediate, high-yield mathematical edges. Brandon Sprott is rocking a stout 24% strikeout rate, a 10.9% whiff rate, and a stellar .32 expected ERA. Now, on the other side of that exact same game, Braxton Ashcraft is sitting at a 26.3% K rate, a massive 13.9% whiff rate, and a 0.28 expected ERA. Both of these arms are stepping into PNC Park under completely neutral weather conditions. So what does this actually mean for us? Extreme punch-out potential. The lab is dictating an over 5.5 strikeouts play on both of these guys. The data supports it, and the matchups align perfectly.
When we evaluate the rest of this early slate, take the Philly at Detroit matchup, for instance. Our IntelliGrid methodology is hunting for massive batter versus pitcher anomalies. When we look at a matchup profile, historical success is absolutely key. If a batter has an elite head-to-head advantage, like Riley Green hitting .333 historically against Aaron Nola, and you combine that with a monstrous 75 power edge on the IntelliGrid, you've got a mathematically secure target for total base props. It's exactly how the system flags an over 1.5 total bases edge at plus odds.
Moving right into the mid-slate, the system is scanning for absolute monsters on the mound to find elite, zero margin for error numbers. We're talking pitchers dealing with strikeout rates above 28% and whiff rates pushing past 12%. When the system isolates arms with profiles resembling these massive strikeout potentials, guys like Hunter Green, Chris Sale, and Hunter Brown all pushing upwards of 30% K rates, it automatically triggers the over 6.5 strikeout alert. The model is telling us loud and clear, do not bet against elite strike zones when the whiff parameters align like this.
But listen, the War Board isn't just about finding the heavy hitters. It's about exposing the highly vulnerable pitchers across the slate too. We program the lab to fade starters who pitch to weak contact and carry uninspiring strikeout rates hovering down in the low to mid-teens. When the mathematical edge reveals fading punch-out potential for guys like Palmquist, Martinez, and Quantrill, the system targets the under 4.5 strikeouts for those specific vulnerable starters.
We also use large sample sizes to our advantage to find mathematical overrides. Because even when you're facing a pitcher with elite K rates, the IntelliGrid identifies batters who have just mathematically solved that specific arm. Take Seiya Suzuki. He's batting an incredible .444 across a massive sample size of 18 plate appearances against Hunter Green. Because of that, our system assigns him a 75 power edge. That makes his over 1.5 total bases play highly secure and entirely data-backed, totally neutralizing Green's inherent strikeout upside.
To close out the War Board methodology, we secure late-night total base edge bets derived directly from elite head-to-head matchup profiles. We're filtering for batters hitting .375, .500, or even .600 against their scheduled opposing starter. When those massive historical averages combine with optimal win vectors and park factors, it triggers our over 1.5 total bases alerts for guys like Clemens, Varsho, and Karos. These parameters create your mathematically validated late-night snipes.
Section 2. Launch Lab, Premium High Probability Home Run Report.
To find the long ball, our Launch Lab algorithm first has to expose the most vulnerable pitchers on the board. We strictly filter by home runs allowed per 9 innings. When the system identifies pitchers bleeding home runs, we're talking astronomical rates over 2.0, 2.7, or in Shane Bieber's case, upwards of 4.15 HRs per 9, the targets are painted squarely on their backs. This right here is the foundation of our high-probability home run flight spots.
So who's taking advantage of these vulnerabilities? While the Launch Lab identifies the highest probability home run spots based on expected weighted on-base average and isolated power parameters, we're scanning the slate for batters stepping into the box with massive ISO numbers over .320 or XWOBA metrics clearing .360. We take these elite power profiles, guys like Schwarber, Alonso, and Olsen, and match them against those vulnerable pictures we just isolated. Remember, we do not guess when it comes to power props. These are premium mathematically backed targets.
The absolute crown jewel of the Launch Lab methodology is finding the perfect vector alignment. Let's say we have a pitcher with a massive home runs per 9 vulnerability that spikes even higher against right-handed batters. we're going to hunt for the perfect right-handed power bat to exploit it. When an elite hitter like Fernando Tatis Jr., carrying a .369 expected weighted on base average, steps into that exact matchup against Bieber, the launch angles and flight vectors align perfectly. That is exactly how the system flags a prime, premium launch lab target.
Section 3. IntelliGrid Edge Snipes. Zero margin for error.
Look at this number, .307. That is Shohei Ohtani's isolated power metric. When our IntelliGrid flags an ISO over .300 combined with a high expected weighted on-base average, it means the opposing pitcher, in tonight's case Eduardo Rodriguez, has absolutely zero margin for error. Any mislocation against a batter carrying these types of elite power metrics is ending up 400 feet away in the bleachers. This is the exact threshold that triggers our critical snipe alert.
Let's break down exactly how the system identifies the most volatile batter versus pitcher matchups on the IntelliGrid. These are what we call zero-margin alerts. The algorithm flags hitters rocking massive expected weighted on-base averages, specifically numbers up in the .360 to .400 range. When hitters like Nelson Velasquez or Junior Caminero step in against their specific starters, the system blares "critical snipe detected." These guys are immediate threats today. One slip in the strike zone, and the pitcher is paying the price.
Walking systematically through the rest of the slate, the system flags specific red reticle targets. By matching high-leverage power metrics against vulnerable starting pitching profiles, the IntelliGrid generates a comprehensive list of critical snipe-detected matchups. Stewart, Devers, Kurtz, Goldschmidt. If you're building lineups or hunting for high-leverage prop edges today, the batters flagged by this specific algorithm need to serve as your core foundation.
A super crucial part of our edge strategy is how we leverage unique dual-threat anomalies in the player pool. The system scans for players who offer massive statistical advantages on both sides of the ball. On the mound, we're looking for elite K rates pushing 30% and massive whiff rates to back an over 6.5 strikeout splay. Simultaneously, at the plate, we look for a stellar 90% last 10 platoon hit rate to trigger an over 1.5 total bases hitting edge. Finding distinct mathematical edges on both sides of a player's game, like we're seeing with Ohtani tonight against Eduardo Rodriguez, creates a completely unprecedented high-value setup.
Section 4. The Winning Blueprint. All right, we've parsed the weather overlays, we've broken down the strike zones, and we've isolated the zero-margin vulnerabilities. The final output is the winning blueprint. This is where the IntelliGrid distills the entire slate down to our highest confidence actionable plays. You've got your top strikeout locks, driven by elite whiff rates with Chris Sale and Shohei Ohtani over 6.5 Ks. And right alongside them, your top total base edges backed by historical matchup profiles and IntelliGrid power metrics, like Rafael Devers over 1.5 total bases. This is where you lock in your official slate picks.
The spreadsheets are fully charged. The matchups are locked. You are now armed with the cold, hard data to attack this MLB slate. The board is set, scouts. Where will you place your edge? Thanks for joining the lab for this explainer today, and we'll see you on the next Data Drop.